I saw my face and I looked so stupid. Like instead of boobies, I want this.
Before this ends up as another memory, will you tell the truth so I don't have to lie?
Hello everybody and welcome to / back to my channel. I don't know your life. I don't know. No, you're not. As you can see, quarantine has made me crazy. Yay! I made this TikTok yesterday, so let's just put that in there. Inside it starts to pour, it's coming down. One love, one mouse, one love, one house. No shirt, no blouse. So, that's why I go to therapy. Yeah, so quarantine happened, it was a thing, and I started reading a lot. And I wasn't able to do wrap-ups because I didn't have a YouTube channel, but you know what I do have now?
A YouTube channel.
Joke of the year. So the first book I read was Baby Teeth by Soji Stage. I read this for my book club. I'm in a book club at my local independent bookstore. So this was my first like horror book, and I think I had a good time. I had a good time reading it, I can't lie. It was basically told from two points of view, one point of view from the mother, one point of view from the daughter, and the daughter basically hated the mom and
Let's kill her.
And I think it was really, really cool. I think that it's more like a psychological, philosophical thriller more than a horror. And I liked it. If you like American Horror Story, I feel like you'll like this. So it was a really, really fun read. I would definitely recommend it, but I did only give it 3 out of 5 stars. The next one I read was Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare. I give it a 4 out of 5 stars. I honestly, I don't even want to describe it. It's a Shadowhunter book. If you like Shadowhunter books, read it. You got to. I would like I literally don't even think it's worthy to say anything out on it. I do like Matthew Fairchild because, you know, he's like an alcoholic guy with daddy issues, so obviously that is my type. I hate everything that I just said. The next book I read was Stamped by Jason Reynolds and Ibram X. Kendi. Jason Reynolds is the guy that actually wrote it, but he revised Stamped from the beginning by Ibram X. Kendi. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I think every single person I know needs to read this book. It's basically the story of racism in the United States. I think that everyone should read it. Just so that you understand that racism exists and to do your part. Because a lot of these things I was like, wow, really glad that my history teacher was like, you know what we don't need to learn? Stuff about racism. You want to know why? Because white people wrote this textbook and I'm a white person. So the perfect way I would describe this is if you want to understand racism in one day to read this book. And I think that this should be everyone's starting place. I think it's a super great place to start. It's kind of a funny story by Ned Vizzini. Yeah, my friend recommended me this book during like a, you know, car conversation, and I think we all know that car conversations get really deep and sad, and this book was very sad. I'm not gonna lie, it portrayed mental illnesses well enough for me, but I was just kind of like, ugh. It wasn't great. It wasn't bad. I don't regret reading it. It wasn't super hard to read, so it wasn't like I was like reading it and I was like, oh god. It's just whatever. I mean, like, if you just want to read more books about mental illness, this is another really popular one. That's it. Moving on. I'll Give You the Sun by Jandy Nelson. I give this book a 5 out of 5 stars. This was a reread for me. I did read it like when it was super popular on BookTube and stuff, and it held up. It was so good. I loved it. I had a great time. I'm so happy that this book held up. It was so good. It made me so happy. It was like the perfect little contemporary book. It was a perfect mix of queer lit and a straight relationship all in one. And honestly, my bisexuality needs both in one book. Oh, the next book. This one I actually have, which is Missing Mom by Joyce Carol Oates. This book I gave a 4 out of 5 stars. I thought it was beautifully written. I loved the writing style. I think that it was so well written. I think the only reason it wasn't 5 out of 5 stars is just because I, for some reason, took a month to read this book. But I do love this book. I do want to read more Joyce Carol Oates. It's basically the story of a woman who suddenly loses her mom. And this is an adult book, so she suddenly loses her mom. And it's basically exactly 1 year of her dealing with that. And I loved it. It was beautifully told. I have never lost someone like that, so I can't be like, oh, it captured it perfectly, but I feel like it did. So the next book I also have, I bought this from the library because I wanted to start reading more graphic novels, and then I read 2 and then I stopped. So, but that is Laura Dean Keeps Breaking Up With Me. 4 out of 5 stars. It was amazing. I loved it. I had a great time reading it. I can't give it a 5 out of 5 stars because it just was missing something that I can't put my finger on, but this book was so fun. It reminds me, if you liked To All of the Boys I've Loved Before, pick this book up. It's same vibes. I would recommend this book to like anyone that likes rom-coms or just broke up with someone or just got broken up with. Read this. It's so fun. It's just a very uplifting book, and I would recommend buying it because I guarantee that you will want to keep rereading it, and the art is so cool. Like, look at this cover. Like, I want this on my wall. Like, instead of this, like instead of boobies, I want this. The next book I read was The Prince and the Dressmaker. I gave this a 3 out of 5 stars. It was pretty much like the last one, except different story, but it was pretty similar. I mean, it's just fun. It was just like a fun middle grade book. It just wasn't my favorite story in the entire world. I don't think it was exactly what I want. Like, I think I like more graphic novels like this, which are like realistic fiction. The next book was Everything Everything by Nicola Yoon. I don't her name definitely is not Yon. That was so mean. I didn't like this book that much. I did give it a 3 out of 5 stars, but it wasn't poorly written. It wasn't written that great. The ending made me feel like the book was pointless. I feel like it was nothing special and nothing new. I had read it before. Like, the only thing that was special about it was the representation. Representation, you get a freaking 10 out of 5 stars. So good. And yes, I did say 10 out of 5 stars on purpose. I need y'all to know that. The next book I read was Sadie by Courtney Summers. Everyone started talking about it like 2 years ago. I do want to put a trigger warning for this book though, which is that there's pedophilia in it and sexual assault and addiction. So if any of those things trigger you, be cautious. Yeah, it's a thriller. I don't want to say like I had a good time reading it, but like it was like a murder mystery kind of thing. I recommend this to like true crime people. If you want to read true crime in a book format, pick this book up. It's a good time. Yeah. Get a 4 to 5 stars, but I didn't say that already. I can't remember now. Okay, my cat's just gonna be in this video, okay? She's just gonna be in here. And ironically, the next book that we're talking about is Black Leopard Red Wolf. So Black Leopard Red Wolf by Marlon James. It's a classic. This was my first big adult fantasy read that I actually finished, and it was one of the best books I've ever read in my entire life. But I still gave it a 4 to 5 stars because it was so hard to get through for me, and I think that's just because I'm new to fantasy. But it's great. If you love fantasy, I would just recommend reading this. If you love queer lit, I'd recommend reading this. I think that it discusses gender and sexuality in a very, very interesting way, and I really, really loved how they handled everything. So, oh, also trigger warning for that book though, there is a very, very graphic rape scene, so just be cautious while you're reading it. Just know that that is the thing that happens. And then I decided to read the infamous novel and booktube that some people freaking hate and other people freaking love, which is Daisy Jones and the Six. I love this book. I had a good time. Why don't people like it? I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I seriously loved it. I would recommend to anyone that like is a music person. I don't know if you noticed by my keyboard with a bunch of stuff on it that was on my desk, and then I didn't know where to put it, and I didn't want it to be in the video, and I just now realized that it's still in the video. But I play 3 different instruments. But yeah, if you're like a music person, I feel like this is kind of just like fun. Like if you liked the movie Bohemian Rhapsody and Rocket Man, pick this book up. You're probably gonna like it. The next book I read, I literally forgot that I read, which is The Rest of the Story by Sarah Dessen. I gave it 4 to 5 stars. I don't know why. I love all of her romance books. Sarah Dessen is one of those authors where I just love all of her romances, and I read this, I think, the week that I graduated high school, which is usually what I do. I read like a romance the week that I end something. I recommend it. I mean, if you want to read another romance, I think that you should just read all of Sarah Dessen's romance books. They're all just like a fun, good time. Oh, Pet Sematary by Stephen King. I gave it a 1 star. Sue's Rage of Millions. I didn't like it. Didn't scare me, didn't do anything for me, should have done something for me, and it did nothing. It was not scary. I think I talked about this in my mid-year book freakout tag, but I was like, why is the main character horny all the time? You don't need to be. I'm gonna try to read more Stephen King, but like, I don't know if it's gonna work. Oh, the next book I also have, which is Dog Songs by Mary Oliver. Mary Oliver is a very famous poet, if you guys didn't know it. Bars. And this is a collection of poems that she did about dogs, and I love dogs. I had a good time reading this book. It was very good. I give it a 5 out of 5 stars. I think that Mary Oliver writes beautiful poetry. She covered the positives of having dogs and the bittersweet moments of having dogs, and she just really got the human to pet connection down perfectly in this book. Next book, The List of Things That Will Not Change by Rebecca Steed. I love Rebecca Steed. She was one of my favorite authors growing up. I think she was the first author that ever blew my mind with her book, When You Reach Me. And she's the only middle grade author where I still keep track of her, and I read all of her new releases. And this was her newest release. It came out, I think, literally June of 2020. So really just got ahead of it. And I did give it a 5 out of 5 stars. I started reading this book and I just cried. I just started crying. I don't know if it was happy tears or bittersweet tears or sad tears. I just full on started crying, and I never cry while I'm reading, so this was very shocking, and I was very surprised. But I loved this book. I think it was well done. It was so good, and I would recommend it to parents / kids of divorce. The next book was This Is My America by Kim Johnson. It was a great book for people that need to learn more about the criminal justice system for Black people, specifically Black men, just because everyone that was like she just didn't talk about like Black women that are in jail and stuff. So I give this a 4 to 5 stars just because I feel like there's just something missing from it, and I think that, I don't know, there was just something that didn't make it 5 stars for me, and I can't really like tell you what it is, but I do think that everyone should read this. I think that it was super, super well done. I did read this as an ARC, so I don't know when it's coming out. I think it's coming out sometime in July. So, and the last 2 books that I read before July, I am barely going to talk about because I'm doing an entire video on them, but that is Speak, both the graphic novel and the novel. I'm doing an entire video on this, which will probably come out after this one, so stay tuned for that. I gave these both 5 out of 5 stars, and that is all I read for quarantine. Subscribe if you guys want to see more from me and all of that good stuff, and hit that like button, smash it, just smash it, bro. I hope that you guys have a beautiful day, fulfill your hippie vibes, become a witch, I don't know, and I will see you guys when I see you.